The large, spacious, and comfortable second-generation Opel Insignia is a hot commodity on the used car market. It entered production in 2017, only to be discontinued 5 years later. The reason wasn't the car's quality, but the specifics of the market. As for the car's quality itself, opinions are already being gathered. The second-generation Opel Insignia was built while Opel was still part of General Motors, but it's not as heavy as its predecessor. It's worth noting, however, that the Insignia was offered under the Buick brand in North America and Holden in Australia. However, there, it was often equipped with 3.6-liter V6 engines, unavailable in Europe. In Europe, the largest engines displace a maximum of 2 liters. The Opel Insignia has a transversely mounted engine and front-wheel drive as its primary option. Some models feature 4-wheel drive with an unusual GKN design called Twinster. This system utilizes 2 clutches in the rear axle instead of a central and rear differential. These clutches can engage the rear axle, but also separately control the drive to the left and right wheels. A very similar solution is used in the sporty Ford Focus RS, among others. Unlike its predecessor, it lacks adaptive dampers, but instead features a range of driving assistance systems, both in the city and on the highway. The suspension consists of classic McPherson struts at the front and a multi-link axle at the rear. The petrol engine range offers 3 options. The smallest is a 1.5-liter turbocharged engine with either 140 or 165 horsepower. In 2018-2019, a 1.6 turbo engine with 200 horsepower was offered. The largest engine is the 2.0 turbo, developing 170, 200, 230, or 260 horsepower. The Insignia saw frequent engine changes, so searching for a used car can be a bit confusing. None of the engines were offered throughout its entire production run, as they were still being adapted to meet current emission standards. The 2-liter versions, with 170 to 230 horsepower, share the same engine, F20 family, with different controls and minor differences in equipment. They were offered from 2020 to 2022 and were paired only with a 9-speed automatic transmission. The most powerful 2-liter variant, B20 family, was available at the beginning of production until 2018, only with 4-wheel drive and an 8-speed automatic transmission. The 1.6 turbo engine, offered from 2018 to 2019, served as an alternative to this version, as the most powerful engine in the range until the arrival of the new 2.0. The 1.5 turbo engines were offered until 2020 and were the only ones available with a manual transmission. The diesel lineup, designated Turbo D instead of the previously used CDTI, is also a bit of a mess. Initially, 1.6 and 2.0 engines were offered. The smaller one develops 110 or 136 horsepower, while the larger one produces 170 horsepower or, in biturbo form, 210 horsepower. Both variants belong to the D20 engine family, while the smaller 1.6 belongs to the same family but designated D16 for its displacement. In 2020, the company switched to diesel engines from the F15 family, 1.5-liter, 3-cylinder, and F20, 2.0-liter. This smaller unit is a completely new design, replacing the 1.6-liter variants. It develops 122 horsepower. The same engine has appeared in almost the entire Opel range. The newer 2.0-liter diesel engine is also completely new, even with a different displacement and developing 174 horsepower. Like earlier versions, it was paired with 4-wheel drive. The larger 2.0-liter diesels and the smaller 1.5-liter were paired with 8-speed automatic transmissions as standard or optional. The 1.6-liter diesel was optionally paired with a 6-speed automatic. Which engine to choose? Over 70% of Insignias on the used market are diesels, and although the car isn't as heavy as its predecessor, owners still find diesel engines more efficient. A 2-liter engine is ideal for the car's size, but many cars have 1.6-liter engines under the hood. Much rarer is the 1.5-liter diesel, as well as the newer 2-liter variant. Displacement 1,995 cc. Little is known about them yet, which should also be taken into account when choosing. These engines can be considered a surprise. There are also few substitutes available on the aftermarket. The smaller 1.6 diesel engine, with its timing chain located on the dual-mass flywheel side and a fuel injection system that's quite sensitive to fuel quality, can be more problematic. As long as the engine is running properly, users praise its very low fuel consumption, around 6 liters 100 kilometers. However, when the timing belt needs replacing, all the savings quickly disappear. The 2.0-liter diesel isn't much better, but it's still better in this regard. Depending on the power output, it consumes 7 to 8 liters per 100 kilometers, but also has timing belt and chain issues. Little is known about the 1.5-liter unit. Every diesel engine has its own SCR system, which causes minor or major problems, but the DPF, which burns out quite frequently, performs well. Petrol engines offer more peace of mind. Little is known about the 1.5 turbo, so I won't judge it. There's more information about the 1.6 turbo, which is also available in the Astra. It has direct injection and a timing chain, and there aren't many complaints about it. It also has enough power for the Insignia and averages around 9 liters per 100 kilometers. There's not much to be said about 2-liter direct injection gasoline engines, which are generally scarce on the market, around 4%. They shouldn't be judged by the prism of the 2.0-liter engines from the previous generation Insignia. However, a safer option in the Insignia is the petrol engine, but purchasing one is much more difficult due to the lower popularity of these engines. Personally, I'd go for the Insignia with the 200 horsepower 1.6 turbo with a 6-speed automatic. The problem is that this car was only sold for 2 years and only before the facelift, about 3% of cars. As for diesels, I'd still go for the 2.0-liter engine, preferably with an 8-speed automatic and 4-wheel drive. In diesel engines, the timing belt and exhaust aftertreatment system are vulnerable areas. 2-liter engines manufactured before 2020 have a timing belt drive, which is quite delicate. It's best to replace it no later than every 100,000 kilometers, as the tensioner pulleys don't withstand extended mileage. It's a good idea to look for high-quality aftermarket parts. The timing drive also includes the chain connecting the camshafts, and it's recommended to replace this part, preferably with an oil-filled tensioner. In a 1.6 diesel, things are simpler. If the timing belt starts making noise, the chain and the entire repair kit need to be replaced. The kit itself costs nearly 2,000 euros, and the replacement itself costs only a little less. The difficult timing belt placement on the gearbox side becomes a problem after a mileage of over 150,000 kilometers. If you find a car with low mileage, under 100,000 kilometers, and the timing belt drive has been inspected successfully, it's worth considering such a purchase. Ideally, the 1.6 Turbo D engine should be paired with an automatic transmission, as the manual transmission is a flawed M32 design with limited durability. Although premature bearing wear has theoretically been eliminated, it still occurs, albeit less frequently. The 2.0 Turbo D engines were equipped with the improved, though still imperfect, F40 transmission. Gear shifting problems can be caused by a failed clutch master cylinder or slave cylinder, which are quite common given the age of the car. Another fairly common problem is a faulty electronic accelerator pedal. The engine weakens, goes into limp mode, or fails to start. Leaks in the air conditioning system, parking sensor failures, and malfunctions in the sensors responsible for the electric tailgate opening and closing are common. The Insignia is well protected against corrosion.